Welcome to the Odd Pod, where we're talking Kitchener Rangers hockey with the oddballs themselves, Andrew and Justin. Take it away, fellas.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Justin.
Our guy,
the original Odd Pod guy.
I love when we can just talk about him all the time, every episode, so much.
And if you've been listening, we don't even have to say who he is.
No, because he's for the second time this season,
Yes.
he is the goaltender of the week.
Arguably, it should have been the third time this season. And
3
the
weeks in a
second-
row.
Exactly, yeah. Yes.
Yes.
I guess they have to give props to some of these other kids. But
I guess some guys are okay, too.
yes,
Whatever.
sure. But,
Yep.
Jackson Parsons is on a heater.
I'm glad that the OHL is listening to the pod, though, because they get it. And, they're starting to buy in.
Yes, I'm starting to believe that. I'm starting to believe that someone's listening to
Yeah.
the pod. So we appreciate you if you're out there and you're listening to the pod. Because I'm hearing things that I'm like, we said that first.
Yeah.
We didn't predict it. It sounds more just like we're being parroted. I think we're giving ourselves a little bit too much credit. But
most certainly.
it is exciting interacting with people on social media.
I like it, too.
So
It's been fun.
keep it coming.
Yeah, say hi. Okay, we got lots of news to talk about this week. So let's start with the guy that got signed 3 minutes before this podcast was released last week.
Unfortunately for us, we don't have a quick turnaround for people who have also full-time jobs and families
And don't know anything about podcasting.
Honestly, I just think the Rangers need to slip us information, let us break it.
We just need a little bit of leeway here.
We need to be OHL insiders.
Yeah. So Rangers, send us the news because Haeden Ellis joined the team. The NCAA keeps on giving.
Exactly.
It's in a giving mood this season.
Yes. So Haeden Ellis comes from the Buffalo junior team, the USHL. And obviously he was staying there because he had the NCAA commitment. And so he is the son of Matt Ellis, long-time journeyman in the NHL, played with Buffalo, played with the Red Wings, played with LA. And he is a small guy at this level right now, but he's 17, so there's room to grow for sure. But
and we've seen the impact already.
Yes, he is. He's a smooth skater. He digs. He works hard. Played 43 games with the Junior Sabres, and he had 40 points with 18 goals. So he can produce.
Yes.
He's 5'9", 175. So, like I said, he's a bit undersized, but I think his game isn't, if that makes sense.
He gives off a little bit of that Tanner Lamb vibe to him. He's got the smooth skating. He has some puck moving skills. He's got some shooting skills. I'm excited to see how he's going to fit into this team. And we saw him on Friday night, and I felt actually the game in Erie on Saturday, he was more impactful. He was already up the roster.
Agreed.
Bit,
and I think he probably got to Kitchener and they gave him his sweater and he went out on the ice.
Yeah, I don't think he talked to anybody pregame Friday. It was Saturday. He got to meet everyone on the bus on the way. I played with you last night.
On the way to Erie, he actually started to learn some names.
Yeah. Okay, so then we got other news.
We do.
Expansion? Question mark?
Pretty exciting.
Yeah.
It's the rumblings have begun. USHL teams looking to come into the OHL. It might be kind of a last gasp. I think if that starts to happen, the USHL will go under or become something else.
Well, and I think it makes sense because we're all of a sudden going to have an influx of players in the CHL. So all these kids got to go somewhere. And there's too many good players to not be playing hockey.
Yeah, I mean, if they were good enough to play hockey on the fourth line, at the beginning of the season, it's a shame if now it's just going to be a smaller talent pool to draw from in Canada. Now that if there's going to be more and more Americans and just even Canadians who are committed to going to the NCAA route, it's a good thing. We should expand if that league is hurting and there's well-attended, interested hockey fans in those markets, why not bring them in?
I was listening to the OHL podcast about this. They were talking about how rights work with the OHL, the CHL, where if they have a team in the state in the U.S., that like then will give them rights to all players who are born in that area. So,
okay, that's interesting.
So this will all of a sudden expand quite a bit into what I would imagine is a U.S. pool of players that are coming then to the CHL that we haven't experienced before, even though we already have 3 states with the OHL.
That's true.
But,
so
yeah, it could be great.
that could be really great. And
And,
then it would
and
be,
as we're seeing, the Canadians are so good, the U.S. guys need help.
well, that's a good segue
Yeah.
because we have even more news. The Canadian CHL prospects boat raced the U.S. National Development Program team.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, remember, the World Juniors last year was won by the U.S.
It was.
They are a
The US has
powerful
good
team.
players.
They didn't even bring Hunter Burstavich on that team last
know.
year. And I think that had to do with politics of him not going the U.S. National Development Team route. I honestly do think that has something to do with it because they seem to really push that. It looks like the World Juniors might be a Canadian event. I'm excited. I'm not making that full prediction because it's different.
You're not breaking that news for us?
It's different.
You didn't get that from the CHL insiders?
It's different under the lights of the World Juniors.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Yes.
Than a kind of nothing prospect game. I don't think it was a nothing game, but it's not a gold medal game. It's not a round robin game. It's a spectacle.
Yeah.
So, but boy, was it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to watch it because of blackouts, but
Schaefer and Misa and the usual suspects were all over the Americans. It was really nice to see our boy Cameron Reed out there.
yeah. How'd he do? Tell me more.
How did he do?
Yeah.
He played
look?
well.
Yeah.
He looked right at home. He
Good.
didn't register on the score sheet, but he was.
That's not everything, especially when you're a defenseman.
I mean, as far as I can tell, because I found that it was very hard to access the score sheet. I found the goal scorers. That was about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he might have had an apple. Who knows? Yeah, he just looked silky smooth out there.
CHL. Now we know you're listening. This is a very cool event. Please make it more accessible.
Yeah, it would be great for it to just be on YouTube.
Sure. It's so cool.
I don't know why you wouldn't want that. I think that has to be more the way that the game needs to go for younger fans.
Then we got 2 games to recap.
We do.
Oh, what an exhausting weekend of games. 2.
We were at one of them.
We were at one of them. The first one even against Windsor, where we lost 3-1.
It wasn't 12-2.
It wasn't 12-2, nor did it ever look like it would become 12-2 because it was a well-matched game.
It really was.
Yeah. It actually felt a lot like the London game. There was a lot of chances that went both ways that it could have been a different score very easily.
There were parallels. It was similar, but it was almost the opposite. I think we can talk more about that.
Should I just stop talking?
No, I'm saying that in the London game, things got better as it went along.
So you got insider information, and now you're just the big shot who knows everything.
No, that was always me.
Oh, okay, great. Okay. All right, so we lost 3-1, so good and the bad and the ugly. Andrew, what's your good?
Well, as I was saying, the good was the first period. It featured the Bilecki goal, which was his first goal. Yeah, you're right. So you kind of know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the good was the first period. The first period, they came out, they dominated. They outshot them. They had Windsor scrambling around. I was thinking, wow, so that was really just because they were really sick in that first Windsor game.
I think they were.
Which it was. It was why they lost so badly.
Has to be.
Yeah. What was your good?
The first period, Bilecki getting his first goal.
We did the same thing. The mind meld,
the mind meld.
Odd Pod, and we also now have these wonderful hats to really finish the mind meld off there.
Yes.
Thanks to Papa Bourne,
Mr. Ken Bourne,
the
branding and now merchandise.
Yes, director of branding and merchandise.
The only thing that I have to add as the good is that we outshot Windsor 16-3
in the first.
Yeah, which was amazing. It was
unbelievable,
dominant. Okay, what's your bad?
Say it on 3. 1, 2.
I don't know what I'm saying.
Oh, I thought you were on board with me. The second period. The second period was the bad.
Okay.
It featured some good things like Parsons making a huge save on Protas and the boys kind of hanging in there and only giving up one goal.
Yep.
But ultimately, It was quite literally almost exactly the opposite in shots in the second period.
It was, yeah. They came back completely. We were watching the shot clock to our right, and
Yeah.
it was like, wait, what? How did they catch up?
How are they ahead?
How
now?
did they catch? Yeah, how are they ahead? Oh my God.
Yeah. What was your bad?
I tried to really feather this in earlier.
Okay.
But it was the same problems we saw against London. They just couldn't get things passed through sticks, through feet. Like they just couldn't get anything going after the first period. It was a lot of missed opportunities, and I felt like it wasn't that they weren't playing, it's just that they just couldn't quite connect with each other.
So you might say that your bad was at least the second period.
And the third. Yeah.
Well, believe it or not,
oh
Justin.
no, what's the ugly?
The third period, Justin. They had the 5-minute major penalty.
Yeah, that was hard.
They gave up 2 breakaways, which one was scored on.
Yeah.
And they had a Romano injury in that. So
and the ugliest of ugly of that third period was the 47 minutes that they took to decide the penalty.
Oh my goodness. Okay, we have to break off for a second and talk about reviews, because the NHL reviews get flack all the time.
Yeah.
And
they should.
I got to be honest, I have seen now so many OHL reviews where I get it. There's no command center. They're not talking to some sort of, space age guy who's in there who's looking at everything and helping guide. They're looking at a tablet. They're talking to somebody.
They got low HD cameras.
Yeah. I mean, if it's anything like the app, if they're trying to scrabble the app, you guys.
Yeah, nobody's getting anything right.
Nobody's getting anything right. But there has to be a limit. I've been at games that have ended like almost at 10 o'clock in the OHL, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That have gone long, and like you can see kids are leaving and families are going home.
And they started at 2 p.m.
Because, you're not that far off. I don't know, just put in a clock. Just if you can't make the decision in, let's say, even in the OHL, let's give them 5 minutes. I think in the NHL, it should be 2 minutes.
Absolutely.
But in the OHL, let's say 5 minutes. If you can't get it right, then the call on the ice is what it is, and you move on.
Yep.
This isn't the end of the world.
Yes. So, yeah, that was pretty brutal to get that. To get that penalty after waiting forever to get that penalty.
And the worst part is like no explanation.
No, because they couldn't get the mic to work.
The mic never works, Justin. The mic never works.
Tim!
It's true though. Like even in the NHL, it works like half the time.
I know, it's brutal.
So there's no explanation, and you're like, what? He's gone for the game, and the other guy only got 2 minutes. I don't understand.
Okay, so my ugly. Okay, fine. The third period, but not actually. The breakaways against.
Yeah.
I mean, we had this against Windsor in the first time we played them. Wasn't as bad, but like at one point, Parsons saved not one but 2 shots on a breakaway by what's his name, Christopher.
Mm-hmm.
Christopher.
Chris Christopherson.
Chris Christopherson. On a shorthanded breakaway.
Great music, even better on a breakaway.
On a shorthanded breakaway.
Shorthanded breakaway. Yeah.
But there was a lot of breakaways. So my ugly is the breakaways.
Yeah, you got to do a bit better than that, because
just a little bit.
Parsons was 1 for 3, or it was 2. Well, he was 2 for 3 on stops.
Yeah. On
breakaways, and it was kind of the difference in the game.
It was.
We had a whole other game where we went to Erie and we played the Otters.
Yeah, and we won 4-0.
The Frauders.
The Frauders. Oh, I didn't even check the Erie Otters tracker before this game. Before this pod.
Because I don't care what he actually.
No, I don't either.
But it is funny that we were fraudulent, and now we're what, 3-1 against.
We are indeed.
Yeah. And it's getting more and more dominant.
Yes, every time we play them. So we get to do 3 stars on this one.
Yeah, so what's your first star?
Oh, my first star, Pridham Parsons, period number 1.
Paddlestar Palactica.
Exactly.
Yes.
13 minutes before Erie got a shot on goal.
Yes.
In the first period.
I know.
And then Parsons stood on his head.
Yes.
Like that, to me, that I always worry about those long breaks without a shot on goal, because goaltenders can let in a softie.
Oh, totally.
Super easy.
Sometimes I think you get stiff. Sometimes you get kind of like you're out of the game mentally. You get stiff either physically or mentally, just because you haven't been doing anything, and now all of a sudden you're being expected to perform.
The best part about going 13 minutes without a shot against is that we were also up 3-0 at that point.
Yeah.
Because
it helps.
Because of Pridham.
It helps.
It's
Swick. I think it's a lot easier to make some stops when you're up 3-0 immediately.
Yeah. So it was that first period.
Yes.
Killer.
Yes.
And alliteration.
Yeah.
What's your first star?
My first star is the guy that opened the episode. I had to. I went back and forth between this and my second star, which we'll talk in a second, but
Haeden Ellis.
Yeah. No. Jackson Parsons.
Yeah.
I don't know. He is just taking his game to another level. I think you and I saw glimpses of it at the end of last year when we were watching.
Yes.
We're like, who is this Jackson Parsons kid? This kid is good. And yeah, he's just unabashedly one of the best players in the league. I'm really excited to continue, following his career. He goes to the NCAA. It's great that he has a net.
I think it was last week I called it. I'm like 2030. His name's going to be around the pros. Like,
yeah, for sure.
The AHL, the NHL. He's going to be somewhere. He'll be 23. That's like a great time for a goalie to start to emerge.
He's solid positionally.
Yes.
He makes great reaction saves. He's been hung out to dry on breakaways. He's great in one-on-one situations. Kind of has shown what I think you'd want in a professional goalie already, at least in a prospect.
Yes. Yep. And he likes McDonald's, but he never eats it. That's what I learned from YouTube.
That's true. That's true.
What's your second star?
So my second star is the new first line, picking up the slack for Romano, which is a huge loss. Your number one center is out with an injury that you could very easily not have any flow to your game, especially early. And they had the opposite. They went out and they torched them. It was like they were skating circles around Erie.
Yep. I think actually the shift up was probably good because we had those two games where we were playing obviously really good opponents.
Yes.
You worry a little bit about the mental game of the lines and stuff like that. So it was like, I'm not saying that Romano getting hurt is good, but I think maybe the shakeup of the lines was maybe a good thing.
Well, I think it's funny because we call the coach the Juice. I kind of feel like the Juice gave him a little extra juice, like that. They needed that. They needed that, like that little extra push to get out there and do something different. And it was nice to see Pridham skating with Swick because I think Swick and Pridham's games really play off each other well because Swick is like this big, strong. He's not necessarily like super fast, but he's a strong, powerful skater, and he owns the ice that he's on.
Yeah.
And Pridham is like is just buzzing.
Yes.
So, and of course Ellen has just played out of his mind.
He looked great in this game.
Yeah.
I have a nickname for the Juice, Andrew.
You do? Finally.
I know. It's been a few episodes.
It's been a couple episodes. I got a little burnt out on honestly just brands of juice. I was like, I'm reaching. Golden Circle? What is that? So tell me, what is the Juice's nickname this week?
Snapple. Because you got to shake them up a little before you open them up.
There you go. That's a good one. You don't want all that sediment at the bottom.
No.
That was weird, by the way. Not the Juice's nickname. That's a good one. That's a good one.
I have a pretty bad stretch of nicknames on this pod so far, so
no, it's a good one. It's a good one. I was saying it was weird about the sediment.
Oh yeah.
Just filter it.
Your kids
just filter it.
Yeah, kids just do not get that.
Yeah, exactly.
Too confusing.
They don't get pulp. They don't get sediment.
No.
I love pulp personally, but
yeah. My second star is Mr. Justin Botno.
Oh yeah, there you go. The namesake.
He had it's the namesake. Another JB to add to the great list of JBs. He got the fourth goal of the game, which lower stakes, but man, lately he's been killing it on the PK, and I feel like he's been on the verge of getting a shout out in one of the last episodes.
Yes,
and I just felt like he got that goal, and I was like, we got to bring up Justin Botno because he's been killing it.
Yes,
he's a great fourth liner.
He's a great role player on this team.
Or third liner or whatever he is.
Yeah, well, bottom sixer.
Yeah. What's your third star?
I'm going to call it Carson Campbell and the prevent defense. That's what I call the third star. So I know you're not a football guy. Yeah. However, when a team goes up big, often they'll start playing prevent defense, which means most of the guys back in this defensive secondary, and they'll give up everything underneath.
Yeah.
So all the high percentage stuff, they'll give up, and they'll just prevent scores. So essentially, I feel like that's a little bit of what the Rangers started playing.
Yeah.
And part and parcel, it was to Carson Campbell's incredible shot blocking.
Yes.
He was blocking
so many shots.
and unfortunately, they don't track it. OHL in your box score, we gotta start tracking block shots because it's a basic stat. This is a call out because there's so many guys. Yes, okay, you want to talk advanced analytics, like, block shots mean you don't have the puck. Sure, whatever. But if you know a guy is blocking shots at such an incredibly high rate, like, that is a skill.
That's an NHL draftable skill.
Agreed.
That's a Chris Tanev is the greatest shot blocker of all time skill.
Yes, there's guys who bring that to the table in the pros. So Carson Campbell was working overtime. I believe that he was sore after this game.
I bet he was.
Yeah.
My third star is probably the same thing.
Okay. Yeah, I get it.
It's really they let up the gas in the second period. They didn't need to push because they were already up 3-0.
No, they weren't losing this game. That felt pretty obvious.
But Erie did have a dominant second period. They were pretty strong. Carson Campbell helped.
Yeah.
And the defense did a great job, but Erie didn't sleep in the second period. This game could have easily been tied up in the second period had a few other things gone the other way. And sometimes I worry about that. Maybe get the puck a little more. That could be helpful.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why my first star was Jackson Parsons, because he did stand on his head.
He did have a really good game for his shutout.
Yeah, exactly. And it was on his birthday. And it was
the Erie commentators kept calling the shutout, and they were trying to jinx him.
I agree.
You could call it.
You could, yeah. You could say it once. Like, not if you're a home commentator.
No.
But you can say it once as an opposing commentator or like a neutral commentator, and it's not intentional. But the dude in the booth kept saying it.
He said it like at least 5 times.
Like, relax,
yeah,
dude.
come on,
like,
man.
This is a young man who deserves this. You can believe in this superstition or not. It's just like as a hockey fan, as a fan of the game, I was annoyed.
Yeah, don't say it.
Even if
listen,
even if the shoe was on the other foot,
yeah,
it's like, come on, man,
don't say
stop saying it.
Yeah. All right, so those are our 2 games. It's weird only having 2 games to talk about.
It was. I mean, they were good games. One didn't go the way that we wanted it to, but it felt good because I remember as we were walking out, I looked at you and I said, remember, this is a rebuilding team.
Yes.
So they're not supposed to be competing with Windsor. Think about all the draft picks that the Rangers have this year.
I know.
Like, the fact that they improved this much and they were in it right down to the last 7 minutes against Windsor. Unbelievable season.
Okay, so we got 3 games to talk about this week. So we got Friday against Owen Sound. We're at home. Always Friday at the Odd.
Exciting.
Sunday, no back-to-backs this week either, which
good.
is great. So Sunday we're in Guelph for the Battle of Highway 7.
Oh, nice.
And then Tuesday we get to play a team we haven't played yet in Brantford, which is always confusing to me because the arena in Brantford is the same distance from my house as the Odd is.
Ooh.
But they're in the Eastern Conference.
Why is Brantford in the Eastern
I
Conference?
have no idea because they're kind of south of Kitchener.
They are, yeah. No, I know exactly where Brantford is because I was looking at the Gretzky house. You can go see the house that he grew up in. What's crazy is, I guess, Walter Gretzky, up until he passed away, or at least a little ways, I'm assuming, up until close to his passing, he lived there, and you could just go visit him, and he would talk to you.
I bet he would.
I can't believe I missed that opportunity.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's not far, so that's weird.
It is weird that it's obviously they had to draw the line somewhere, but it's weird that they're in the East.
Obviously, they did have to draw the line. So expansion might help with that.
Yeah, Brantford might be a Western team next year,
which would probably be really good for Brantford's travel schedule.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh, that would suck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Poor Brantford. So Owen Sound, just a little recap. They're 4th in the Midwest Division. They're 9th in the conference.
Yes.
Not been a great season for Owen Sound. One thing about Owen Sound, though, on this whatever crazy win streak that London is on, blah. Owen Sound has taken them to overtime twice, and I'm like, tip my hat to you, Owen Sound.
We went to overtime with Owen Sound
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're an overtime team.
They're an overtime team. So they're a team that loses more than they win, but they are competitive.
They are competitive. Our season series with them, with the Rangers, is 1-1. Tight games. We won the first one 3-2, and then the second one, we went to overtime 5-4.
Hopefully the officiating is better in this one.
Yes, I hope so too. Carter George has cooled down a bit. His stat line's a little chilled since we last saw him. He's facing the most rubber in the OHL with 657 shots against him. For comparison, Parsons has faced 130 less than Carter George in the same amount of games. We're talking like
significant.
6 or 7 shots a game
more. Yeah.
That he's facing.
And you know what else he has this year? A goal.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
The coolest thing a goalie can do.
Definitely.
Score a goal. Landon Hookey, Sam McHugh have stayed hot with, point per game production.
McHugh and Hookey, they're good.
So guys we're going to get well acquainted with, division rivals, so.
It seems like maybe they just lack the depth.
Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe a little bit on the defense too is a struggle.
True.
Based on those shots.
Yeah.
Then we face Guelph on Sunday. I think it's an afternoon game. They're sitting 5th in the Midwest. They're sitting 10th in the conference. They've really struggled to put anything together. We faced them 3 times. We beat them 3 times. We faced them 5 more times this season.
Yeah.
We have 8 games against Guelph this year. So
makes sense. They're pretty close.
They're pretty close. It's a good travel schedule.
Definitely.
It's pretty easy.
It's a great barn too. So we
have to go.
We have to. Yes.
Yeah. The only new thing on this team that we haven't faced is Luchenko. Last time we faced, he was still up with Philly.
True.
So he's been hot. He's scored point per game since he came down. So he's heating up their stat sheets a little.
I remember a long time ago you talked about the hot guys in Guelph.
Well, you want?
If you've been listening from the beginning or following us on social media, you might remember the outtake of Justin talking about the young hot guys in Guelph, and now maybe the hottest of them all is back. So.
Finally, we face Brantford. They are sitting 3rd in the East Division. They're behind Kingston and Oshawa. I mean, Kingston and Oshawa have both been lighting it up, so it's a pretty hot division.
Yes.
I'm not going to say hot guys. I'm going to say hot division.
Hot, sweaty division.
They're sitting 6th in the Eastern Conference. Yeah, so we haven't faced them yet, but they do have some guys. They got some guys.
What kind of guys?
They got Nick Laurides.
We've got Justin doing names again. Here we go.
Nick Lardis. Yeah.
Lourdes.
Yeah. He's over a goal per game.
Okay. That's a lot.
Over a goal per game. If you're talking hot, that's hot.
Stop saying it.
I can't stop. And then we have Patrick Thomas, who's sitting at about 1.5 points per game. So
they have like some guys who are doing some
stuff. That's what I said.
You did.
Interestingly, so we played Brantford several times in preseason, and Leenders was a thing. Like, we saw Leenders, their goalie.
Yes.
He was pretty crazy good.
Leenders was drafted, wasn't he?
I think he is,
because that's a name that I feel like I've heard drafted.
But he's like completely dropped off. Actually, both of their goalies are sitting kind of low in the league in save percentage, and they're sitting in a true tandem. Like, they're literally going back and forth between the 2 goalies. So I think that's an interesting development because, like I said, Leenders killed us.
Yes, Ryerson Leenders.
Yeah.
Was drafted in the 7th round by the Buffalo Sabres.
Oh,
so
he's just getting ready for being a Buffalo Sabre.
Well, I think they have like 45 young goalies.
I know they really collect them.
Yeah, they collect them and then they just don't use them. I don't know what it is. So hopefully Leenders gets a shot playing hockey somewhere. But,
he could back up Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
We want to talk about names. Good thing you've heard that one.
I know that one well.
Yeah. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
All right, Andrew. It is time for the greatest Ranger of all time.
The G.R.O.A.T.
The G.R.O.A.T. Now, we know there's been a lot of episodes since we described this last, so we're going to recap what the G.R.O.A.T. is.
Absolutely.
The G.R.O.A.T., like I said, is the greatest Ranger of all time, but that doesn't preclude anyone What we're talking about is a deep, rich history of the Kitchener Rangers and their amassed player collection. That sounds a little creepy. So the G.R.O.A.T. can mean a lot more. So we want to talk about players who were great as Rangers. Of course, the Rangers have had a lot of players who were great way beyond being a Ranger.
Yes.
But really what we are focusing on is the Kitchener Rangers team, and not even players, people who have been associated with the organization. So when we're talking about the greatest Ranger of all time, we're talking about people who have gone on to do great things, who did great things with the Rangers.
It's all encompassing. If you're affiliated with the Rangers in any way, you can be one of our G.R.O.A.T.
What we're talking about is nominations. We're talking about nominations from Andrew and I every week on the pod, where at the end of this nominating period, we are going to build a bracket. And we are going to do a bracket challenge where we want all of you to be involved.
Yes, and so far we have had some involvement from our listeners and also just Rangers fans in general, because we did go to a game and do some interviews.
My G.R.O.A.T. is from those interviews.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yes.
What a great segue.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can get out and do a few more interviews like that before we finish the nominations. Or if you're listening to this, please just write down a G.R.O.A.T. in the comments, or send us a voice note or send us an email. We'll have social media and email at the end of the episode. You can do all that. And we just want to hear from people who have interesting G.R.O.A.T.s, because like you said, we found some through you.
Guys I would have never expected to find, I have found through your nominations. So that's why today I'm bringing one to the pod. Let's recap our G.R.O.A.T.s so far.
Great idea. All right, so my first G.R.O.A.T. back in episode 4, I think so, was one of my favorite players growing up, Mike Richards.
And my nomination that episode was Mr. Al MacInnis.
All-time great St. Louis Blue.
You get out of here.
All right, and then in the next episode, I found probably the guy that if I had a vote, I would give it to, because his resume blew my mind. Get this man in the Hockey Hall of Fame yesterday, Mr. Brian Bellows.
And my second nomination was arguably, for stats alone, one of the greatest Rangers of all time.
Absolutely.
Mr. Derek Roy.
He was also an Oiler. Then I went way back. I went with a retro G.R.O.A.T., really important guy, all-around good guy who didn't go to the Summit Series because he had hockey camp scheduled here, which is just incredible. He still had a great career, Walt Tkachuk.
And that episode, I brought in one of my favorite goaltenders who is actively still playing in the NHL, Mr. John Gibson.
And then I went back on defense for the first time. I went with the middle linebacker on ice, Scott Stevens.
And then I went with the everywhere man, Mr. Andre Benoit.
And then I went with another Hockey Hall of Fame inductee in the Flyers all-time goals leader, Bill Barber.
And I went with probably a future Hall of Famer, but still active and hopefully coming back to play hockey sometime soon, Mr. Gabriel Landeskog.
Then I went off the board with a guy who had an incredible season for the Rangers and otherwise might have been forgotten. He's still actively playing professional hockey in the German league. He's Short King, Mr. Justin Azevedo.
And then I went with a nomination from my dad with one of the craziest backstory, like hockey stories that was all off the ice, Mr. Paul Reinhart.
Yeah, the guy who just decided to be an elite center one year from a defenseman.
I will not play anywhere but Kitchener.
Yes, very, very interesting. And then I had my first and possibly only non-player Ranger. Mm-hmm. I went with the coach that won 2 OHL championships in a Memorial Cup, Mr. Pete DeBoer.
And I went with one of the most legendary NHLers of all time, Mr. Larry Robinson.
Oh, it's been a crazy start to the G.R.O.A.T. tournament.
Yeah, and now we should nominate.
Boy, oh boy, I feel like this one was written in the stars, Justin.
Oh, so was an Oiler.
When we started doing the G.R.O.A.T.,
G.R.O.A.T.,
we were ignorant to this fact about this man that I am going to profile here today. My G.R.O.A.T. was born December 22nd, 1944 in Paisley, Scotland.
What?
He began his junior career with the Guelph Royals in 1961 and played with them until Eugene George, another, I think, honorary G.R.O.A.T., moved them to Kitchener in 1963. He was chosen as the first captain of the Kitchener Rangers. So the first captain in the Kitchener Rangers is Scottish.
What?
And we've been doing this G.R.O.A.T. Scottish thing since the beginning, and we had no idea.
We knew in our
We knew
souls.
in our hearts, in our little Scottish hearts. He then played 2 seasons with the Rangers, scoring 23 goals and 51 points in 56 games. And then in his second year, he exploded for 51 goals, 55 assists, and 106 points in 56 games. Yeah, both years he won the Jim Riley Trophy as the scoring champion of the Rangers, which there's amazing names on that. You can go visit it in Rangers Authentics at the Odd. This player would go on to play only 22 NHL games with the New York Rangers and the Minnesota North Stars, whom he was claimed in the expansion draft by. However, he did play 6 minor league seasons. He also played with some incredible pioneers of hockey during this period. He played with Bill Masterton in Minnesota.
There's a trophy named after him.
Yeah. He played with the future first Oilers captain, Al Hamilton, in Omaha, and another G.R.O.A.T. in Omaha, Walt Tkachuk. And then, probably the most important pioneer of them all, he played with Willie O'Ree in San Diego for the San Diego Gulls. So he was rubbing elbows with some pretty incredible people.
No kidding.
He would be a great person. I would love to talk to him about his career and what he did. He would eventually retire after playing 6 minor league seasons. He would retire and become a broadcaster with the WHA San Diego Mariners from 74 to 78. And then he did it with the San Diego Gulls for 2 years in 99, 2001.
Cool.
So all in all, he had a very interesting career.
Yeah, no kidding.
And he is absolutely 100% a G.R.O.A.T. He is Alex Sandy Fitzpatrick.
What a great name, too.
So good. Sandy Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, he was definitely the Sands.
He was the Sandman.
The Sandman.
Yeah.
The best.
That one excited me. I'm gonna be honest. The fact that I was like, hang on a second here, I'm going through the names and I'm going through elite prospects and I'm looking down they have the little flag and I just see the Scottish flag and I was like, good Lord.
Say what now?
Yeah, I'm like, and then it turns out he's the first captain in history. Come on.
Probably invented golf.
Were we not supposed to do this G.R.O.A.T. thing? We were.
Good.
All right,
so good.
Justin, who's your G.R.O.A.T.?
So like I said, this is a fan nomination from Jordan, who we met at the Odd doing some interviews with his son, Ben.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. Really lovely to meet you both. So here it is. Another hometown boy from Kitchener, Ontario.
Oh, yeah.
210 regular season games with Kitchener from 87 to 91. 228 points. A forward. More specifically, a right winger. I know I've been doing a lot of defensemen lately, so I thought I'd get a forward in the mix. 31 playoff games with 27 points. He was drafted by the New York Rangers after captivating the World Junior Championship by winning it twice with the gold medal, and he was the captain the second year he was there.
Impressive.
Interestingly, his best season with the Kitchener Rangers was cut short after playing 30 games and scoring 30 goals and 30 assists.
That's unbelievable.
Unbelievable. He was then called up to the New York Rangers.
Yeah. There's no way. You're called up and you're like playing second line. Like
You get called up to the show.
Yeah.
From New York Rangers, he was then traded to the Edmonton Oilers.
Oh yeah.
But then was offer sheeted by the NHL team with the greatest logo of all time. I will not hear any debates about this. The Hartford Whalers.
Okay. Well, that's a debate, but I think that's a good...
I said no debate.
I think it is a debate, though.
There's no debate. The Hartford Whalers have the best logo of all time in the NHL.
Yeah, it really caught on. They really rallied around that logo. Really had a lot of staying power.
He finished his NHL career with 125 points in 329 games. He was yet another of a long list of fun, high-energy, insane scoring players who played for the Rangers over the years. Can you guess who it is?
Oh, I know because Jordan told me, our friend.
I know.
Friend of the pod, Jordan. His name, Stephen Rice.
With a V. Stephen with a V.
Stephen with a V.
Stephen Rice. Yeah, that's my G.R.O.A.T.
That's great.
It's a good G.R.O.A.T.
That's a good G.R.O.A.T.
Thank you, Jordan.
That's great because he really said, well, when I was my son's age, I really liked Stephen Rice.
Yeah.
And I love the way he said that. You
Yeah.
could see the wonderment in his face when he said that. He said he was brought back to who was my favorite player when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And that honestly is what the spirit of the G.R.O.A.T. tournament is about.
Yeah, there's vibes.
There's
vibes. We say a lot of stats, but the vibes, that's what we want.
The vibes are honestly it might decide some matchups in when we put it to a vote.
We got some thank yous this week.
Yes, we do. We have an extra special thank you to your dad, Mr. Ken Bourne, for the new hats. He is the head. He is the director of branding and now merchandise, as we said.
Yes. Of course, prodigal producer, Liam.
Always the phenom.
Thank you to Kitchener Public Library, who, that's just home.
Our home away from home.
It is. And please find us on the socials.
You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at The Odd Podcast. If you want to send us interesting facts or history about the Kitchener Rangers, the Odd, or Kitchener-Waterloo Cambridge, please email us at theoddpodcast@gmail.com. We'd honestly love to hear from you.
We would. And if you're enjoying this content, please like and subscribe. Give us a rating.
Yes,
tell
rate
your
us
friends
on Spotify. Rate us on whatever streaming platform you use. Tell your friends. Just you even share our content on social media. It goes such a long way. We love doing this. We're going to keep doing this. We love already our audience, but if we could grow that, if you know that there's somebody out there who is interested in the Kitchener Rangers, please share it with them.
Please. And as always, you can find us at
the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium.
See you at the Odd.